So today I'm doing a metallic floor. We're actually doing two of them, the exact same, hopefully. I'll be doing that with our National Sales Manager, Andrew Beaconsfield, who's an ex-installer and great at metallics. We'll be doing a silver black main color with blackish green as the secondary color, and hopefully we get a nice looking floor so we can put down some stickers on it tomorrow. Alright, so right now what I'm going to start doing is mixing up my Part A epoxy glaze, getting all the additives mixed together. I'm going to start splitting that into the amount of parts I want. So in this case it's going to be two colors, so black and blackish green, well, silver black and blackish green. And while I'm doing this, Andrew's just prepping the floor, getting all the bunding ready so it doesn't spread out from where I want it.
This is really only for the demo. Obviously the amount of epoxy that we're putting down for metallics, it's going to self-level. In a real job environment, you would have walls and stuff that it would hit and bounce off. We don't have that here, so we don't want it roll, leveling out all over the floor. So we're just like damming it up with a bit of AbleFlex so that it hits the AbleFlex and bounces back and gives more of a true to life, I guess, effect of what you would get on a real floor. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. There's not a wrong way or a right way. With AbleFlex, you've got to be careful. It is foam, so it will absorb. Sometimes I like to run the APC tape over it, and the plastic tape that we sell, which stops the epoxy absorbing in. Where it is good, like if you've got a doorway, so if you've got a room and then there's a doorway and you feel it might flow out into the other room, you can dam it up. Well, you got to remove it the next day when the epoxy is still kind of soft, so within 18 hours. And what you do is you just run a blade alongside it and peel it up, and it gives you a nice sharp edge. Yeah. And then if it's going to an adjoining room, traditionally there's a transition strip that's put in, so it gets covered, T-strip. It's much of a muchness. It's unforgiving. So you've got to make sure everything leading up to the point of pouring the metallic floor is done meticulously. The success doesn't come from when you pour the metallic floor. The success comes from all the work prior to that, reading the concrete, making sure pinholes are filled, making sure you've got dust control, making sure the environment's as close to an industrial spray booth as possible, as crazy as that sounds. That's where the success of a metallic floor comes in.
The pigments can have little clumps where they've just compacted together, so mixing them in the night before actually lets the epoxy sort of soak into those clumps. Even if you thought you did a really good job mixing, the epoxy can still get into those clumps and help break them apart. And then once you've mixed up the night before, you come back the next day, and just before you add your hardener, you mix them again, and then as you add your hardener, you're mixing them again, just to ensure there's no clumps or anything left. If you're a really good mixer and you trust yourself, you can do it as you're mixing in the hardener, but in most cases, you want to do it beforehand, just so it gets double mixed essentially. Metallics are really high-end floors and the customers are expecting a really high-end finish. If you don't have that really high-end finish, you're not going to meet their expectations and they're going to want it redone. Each square is 9 litres. Andrew, what do you think?
60% silver black, 40% blackish green.
So 6 litres silver black, 3 litres blackish green?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
So I can pour that whole thing on here now. You ready to go? Yep. And then that
It's for
blackish green.
Yeah, for that same floor. So you got 6 litres there and 3 litres here.
Never trust the handle on a bucket. I'm going to pour ribbons across the floor like this, and then I'm going to go in between those ribbons with the second colour. Then what I'm going to do is like a swirl method to swirl it all. Once I've pushed it around, raked it out, I'm going to swirl it So I'm not looking for any particular intricate design because I want this to be the background for the decal that's going down. I want that to be the standout feature of the floor. The reason I'm spreading this out a little bit before I put the next colour is because I don't want it to dominate the next colour. No, we don't mind that the base colour is showing through. And if it's a black base, which this isn't, that adds depth to the floor. This one will give more of a cloudy effect if the base colour shows through. But what I'm doing is making sure that the floor is covered with product because it breaks the surface tension and allows it to flow. Yeah, you're not rolling the floor at all. I'm basically pulling puddles, pushing puddles. You don't really want to go over 4mm film thickness. So I guess there is, but that's a lot. That's a lot of metallic if you're trying to put 4mm down. Like this will give us about a 1mm film thickness, and this is a litre a square metre. So, you know, if you think you've got a 50 square metre floor, that's 50 litres of product. You want to do 4mm, that's 4 times that, right? 200 litres of product. Happy to sell it to you. First, let's talk about the blowtorch. If you're using a epoxy, maybe. But if you're using a good epoxy that's got an air release agent in it that releases the bubbles like this, like glaze, you don't use a blowtorch. Our technical advisor's actually got photos of somebody that did use another product, used a open flame blowtorch and blew the end of the house up. Brand new build. Isopropyl alcohol, only for effect. So if I sprayed isopropyl alcohol on this now, it would give like a cell effect. If you do it straight away after the pour now, a lot of the cells will dissipate, move with the product. Some you might see, some you might not at all. If you wait about half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on ambient temperature, you can get the cells to stay more prominent in the floor. Probably 45 minutes max, and again, it depends on ambient temperature. If you're sitting at around 13, 14, 15 degrees, mate, you can probably walk across it for an hour and 15. But if you're sitting at, you know, higher than 23, 24, 25, you want to be careful at that 45-minute mark. There you go. 2 different application methods too. Swirl, swiggle. That's trademarked.
So we're going to wait for these two to finish and cure off for the night. Going to come back tomorrow for the sticker application. So we're back here the next day. Our Metallica is fully cured and we're ready to start applying our stickers. First step to that is of course measuring up and roughly figuring out where we want these stickers applied. So what we'll do is we'll get them roughly taped down using just masking tape in where we want them, and then we'll lift up one side, cut halfway down and peel that off like a band-aid and push it onto the floor using a squeegee or scraper, a soft scraper, plastic one. Then you take the top off and it leaves the sticker there and just the vinyl.
Some sign writers will do what's known as a wet application, which is a soapy water application. We're going dry. We don't want to entrap any water on the surface. We want to be able to flood coat this today. So we're going to apply these ourselves. Some people out there might have the sign writer put them down, do all this work for them, and then they just come in and flood coat it. The adhesive of the vinyl is stronger than the adhesive of the release tape, okay? I'm making sure that the stickers are stuck down, so when I pull this tape off, the stickers don't come with it. Otherwise you'll just wasted our time. You have to get the right vinyl, and you have to get the right print method. So most sign writers these days will either have latex printers, eco solvent, or UV. You need a sign writer that's either using an eco solvent printer or a UV printer. Latex can cause issues. So sometimes they laminate them. You don't want it laminated. It needs to be raw sign vinyl.
All right, so we've applied the sticker and we're up to the next steps, which is top coating and entrapping that sticker. So we're going to do that by flooding the floor with some glaze Our spread rate today is going to be about 2 liters per square meter. So we want the floor or the glaze to be about 2 millimeters thick on this pour, and that's just to even out the floor and get a nice mirror finish floor without any ridges or bumps showing through.
So you're only using epoxy, glaze, 0 thinners. Okay, so same as the metallic coat, you're literally flooding the floor, 0 thinners, because the thinners can reactivate the adhesive on the sticker and cause it to leak. So you can't use Sparta, you can't use TET, you can't use any of those top coats that have got solvents in them. You have to entrap the sticker with 100% solids, epoxy, no thinners. Once that's set, then you can come in and put your UV stable top coat. Well, this floor would be sanded before we put the decals down. Sanded, vacuumed, microfiber mopped with a damp 100% or close to 100% isopropyl alcohol as you can get, so it's fully clean. Let that fully dry, put your decals down. Then at this stage, flood coat. So the floor would look matte, wouldn't look shiny like this. But once you put this flood coat down, it brings it back to life. On a floor, you're going to have to wear spikes to walk around, but you want to avoid walking on the decal. I mean, the decal is traditionally not going to be over the whole floor. You're trying to minimize the risk. Could it destroy it? Maybe not, but you're trying to minimize the risk. Same as I'm not going to apply this coat if there's heavy wind and debris blowing around. Try and pour it on the decal so it doesn't cause pressure on the edges.
I was going to let you pour it.
I'm just going around now checking the thickness. The indicator is the way that it feels and the way that it looks. Experience. You can't get like wet film gauges and stuff if you want to go down that path. But
especially on a floor like this, which is uneven, you'll never get a true reading with one of those. Because you'll measure one spot and it'll say 3 mil, and you'll measure another spot and it'll say 1 mil, even though it's completely flat on the top. So there you have it, metallic floor with a decal on it and trapped with a thick glaze coat to get it completely flat. Looks great right now, and once it cures, it'll look even better with that mirror finish.